Well, our beloveds, we think we will channel with our another's eyes open today. So how are you all doing? Are you almost done with this month? Meaning, are you just really fed up and done with the many challenges and experiences that have forced you to grow or to retreat? How has this month been for you? Well, for most of you, it's been pretty challenging. For a few of you, it's been fine. And the challenges come in so many different ways, which are just meant to encourage growth. To encourage growth in those specific areas where you individually and collectively are struggling. For example, when you look at all these climate change manifestations that you all simply refuse to acknowledge and to change your underlying behavior on, right? The planet, Mother Earth, is telling you, I am not in balance. When you get an infection in your own physical body, it's because you are not in balance. And when you look at the temperament of Mother Earth right now, you can see she is not in balance. And you all, the ticks, the fleas, and the vermin, who refuse to listen and acknowledge what living in balance looks like, are the ones who are irritating her. You have damaged one another's souls and psyches to the point where you all are all living in a state of regression and dystopian denial. When your house is on fire, do you just sit inside and pretend it's not on fire? Or do you run out and do you seek help and change your ways, right? There are certain things that you do which are obviously increasing the imbalance within your host's experience. And then there are many things that are happening because they're just cyclical or changes within nature that have nothing to do with you, but nonetheless do impact you. But regardless, you simply refuse to acknowledge that your ways are damaging or harmful, or alternatively, you just simply refuse to change your ways. You're waiting for the government to force you, or for your neighbor to force you, or for it to become easy, or whatever it is. But what is it that we can encourage you to do to live in balance with the land like the indigenous ways? When you look at those communities that have not changed from the perspective of capitalism, those who do not seek to gain profit from that which is around them, but instead seek to just live in balance, that enough is enough, that there really is no money in the traditional sense. Those are more of what we would call the indigenous ways. And those are the ways that we would encourage you to once again adopt. But apparently, you're only willing to change once you are forced out of the airplane without a parachute, which is pretty much guaranteed death, and a messy death at that. Because unless you have magically learned how to fly, which some of you, believe it or not, would be able to manifest, but the most, nope. You haven't learned any of those skills of transmutation. So, what do we wish to share today? Pay attention. Pay attention to the patterns around you, what is working and what is not, and why, and rinse and repeat. If it's working for you, then repeat it. If it's not working for you, maybe back off and figure out why it's not working for you. This is for the individual as well as for the collective. So now, we have established, haven't we, and we spoke about this a number of years ago, that in order to change the psyche of people, there needs to be that requisite growth. And the problem is that you have not really been taught how to do this, that this is a real thing. So at this point, we would encourage you all to get up and vote in new policymakers, create new laws, new ways to change the system. maybe to reset everything, much like COVID did, right? COVID stopped a lot of the processes and procedures that had been in place because you needed all to go home and sit and stay away from one another to see what this thing really looked like. And do you remember how the fish and the creatures of the sea returned to those places where before it had been toxic, where man and nature was in a better state of harmony? Would you say that you learned anything from those validations, or have you just simply returned to your ways? Well, we'll be honest, for the most part, even though we validated certain belief systems that others had put forth, that you were destroying the economy with your ways, that you were creating toxicity in the waterways and in the land and in the skies, well, now you have worse experiences. You have many new toxins. You have many new extreme weather patterns that are holding you accountable for your lack of willingness to see and to change. So, if this is the way it must be, then this is the way it must be. Oftentimes, the host must be killed off in order for new growth and opportunities to come in. You have seen that where an entire species is wiped out because it is just not able to adapt to the circumstances, and then new growth occurs through different means. Birds bringing in seeds, items that have been in the soil that were activated and validated by extreme heat through fires, natural water coming through an area, brushing away what no longer serves you. There are so many different ways that nature can and will cleanse itself where there is imbalance. So just be prepared for those of you individually where you are not doing your own inner work, and collectively where you are not making the changes that are needed to keep this planet hospitable for you all. There will be more deaths naturally that are caused by toxicity within a particular region. There will be more deaths as landslides occur. There will be more deaths as water inundates a particular area. There will be more deaths where fires come through. There will be more deaths. It is just the nature and the balance of life. But where and when and how is in your control. When you realize how far out of balance you are with how nature intended to coexist with humans, when you realize that peace and begin to farm the land again, grow your own produce, share it with your neighbors, where it's not profit-driven but community-driven, then you will realize what it is meant to look like and to feel like. And it doesn't mean that you need to give up technology. It just needs to be created in a way that is sparingly done to create products which have a longer life cycle instead of a 1 or 2 year life cycle, which is built into the process. Build something that lasts 10 or 20 years. Be more selective with the ingredients that you put in. Farm them in a way that honors a particular community, pays them well, and doesn't destroy their landscape. Be mindful of everything that you purchase and its life cycle and its growth cycle. So when you grow a particular product from A to Z, how does it impact each community and each individual and each personality, right? The shy people don't stand up and say, I don't like this, whereas the bombastic people have no problem beating you over the head with a club. Maybe look at everyone. Invite everybody in to a conversation to see what their thoughts are. Maybe you can do it anonymously so people feel safe speaking up that, well, I think that you're raping our community here for the benefit of wealthy people in other countries. Maybe we can do it a different way so that the consumers, when you purchase any product, can make a conscious decision. This particular item that I am purchasing harms people in Africa or Indonesia or Egypt or wherever, it doesn't matter. If it harms anyone in the life cycle, then it should not be produced. You need to be mindful that you all are coexisting and cohabiting and co-creating in a world, and where your actions harm somebody else and you're aware of it, that you have a responsibility to make better purchasing decisions. Walmart has enslaved many people around the world. So many of you don't shop at Walmart. But what about those iPhones that you purchase? Oh, I am so conscious, but I do have the newest iPhone. Well, what about maybe recycling them, refurbishing them, so that you don't harm the climate or the economy with new purchases, right? There are so many different ways that you all could recycle and repurpose what you have and make things new again, while not continuing to destroy and rape the climate. Repurpose clothing. Don't buy the newest stuff out there from the big chains. Be creative. Go to the salvage stores and repurpose what you have and add your own flair or touch to it so that it is unique like each of you are. Find ways to coexist and co-create that actually benefits humanity in its entirety, in its collectivity, without denying yourself the need to have certain of your own needs met. You need not live in a dystopian future where you are consciously making decisions that benefit all or harm none, or at least reduce the harm. You and only you can make the purchasing decisions with your own unique dollars. Be mindful of where you spend it and how you spend it and why you spend it. Is it an addiction reaction because of the dopamine hit, or is it a real need? Why do you purchase the newest things? Is it because you are keeping up with the Joneses? Or is it something that you really truly want because it inherently meets a need of yours? If many of you could start therapy, we're being honest, though there are not enough therapists to go around these days, there are waiting lists, but if you could go to therapists to learn what your coping mechanisms are and why, and just heal that inner part of you to make decisions that feel good for the right reasons, you would realize how simple it really and truly is to live in a conscious way. You can't be conscious until you realize what your hidden triggers and traumas are. And it's really just that simple. Looking at your patterns, your belief systems, and your experiences, and explaining them through a prism of social experience versus right or wrong. It is conditioning that begins in your childhood that you carry forward and is oftentimes simply intergenerational trauma because it is what your ancestors have done successfully in order to survive. The weakest died off. Those who were the most adaptive survived. But now where all of your needs and your wants and the services and everything are available, it is time for you to let go of those coping mechanisms and heal those intergenerational trauma wounds and help others to also become their safest and healthiest version of themselves. And it doesn't happen overnight, and it does require vulnerability and a willingness to admit that you are not perfect, that you have flaws, that your coping mechanisms may be ideal for you now in certain ways, but not ideal for those around you. And then just owning up to, you know what? I think I can do it better. And I'm willing to try, and I'm willing to admit that I may not have been the best friend or lover or parent. And I see it now, and I recognize it, and I will promise to try to do it better. And just point out when you don't like how I'm behaving, or when you feel unsafe, or when you just think I'm being a dick. point it out to me. And then let me decide whether or not I'm going to yell at you, beat you over the head, walk away, or say, thank you for sharing that. I will be mindful of it and will add a new layer of consciousness to myself, because I realize how I behave does impact how you experience life as well. Thank you. You are part of my community, and I wish to create a safe and healthy experience with you where we can all grow and heal and feel safe. Those are the things that we keep talking about, because those are the things that we are sharing through our another's co-creative experience. We want her to heal. We want her to see why it is in her best interest and everybody else's best interest to heal. Because as she becomes a kinder human being, those in her field of or sphere of influence also feel safer and more secure and feel heard. But most importantly, they feel the ability to expand and express who they need to be so that they can also safely heal. As you become a safe spot, the lighthouse that guides others around the rocky shores, you will encourage others to spark their own light within and to find a place to safely set up camp on shore so that they too can become a safe lighthouse for others. Becoming you is not easy, but at one point you will begin to enjoy the journey more than you disregard it or dislike it. And then once you have passed that threshold of being excited about this growth of expansion, then nothing can stop you, because you are no longer in the victim consciousness. You really and truly see everything as here to offer you an opportunity to grow, to expand, and to learn to love yourself, as well as to unconditionally accept those around you without a desire or a need to change them or force them to behave according to your standards. You simply set the standards and allow those people to come to you like moths do to a light in a dark environment. When you are the light, you will naturally attract those creatures who are going through their own evolution, much like the butterflies. It requires that inner goo phase or journey where you lose complete and utter sense of yourself to form new pathways and, honestly, a new body, a new expression of self. When the caterpillar goes into that journey, the caterpillar looks one way. But when the caterpillar comes out as a butterfly, only those who are paying attention and are aware of this change in presentation and prediction will understand that each of those butterflies who now present have done their inner growth, allowing themselves to turn into an inner goo and to form into a new being, trusting that this painful and gelatinous process is refining you into something better so that you can finally fly and fly away to experience the world from new heights and new vantage points. It's all about discovery of who you are and where you have really been. As a caterpillar, you move slowly on the ground. As a butterfly, you see the collective beauty of what it is that you all are currently living in. And then with the nectar-inducing process, they're also pollinating and cohabitating experiences that are really important. You will understand this as you go through this journey more, as science is able to count and predict these things that the energetic world or realm has been attempting to teach you. But you are collectively in that gelatinous goo phase And only those who are willing to ride it out will emerge from the cocoon at the end of this experience, and the others will simply die off in this phase of adaptation and evolution by becoming the new species that is required in this new age of Aquarius, of love, of acceptance, and of compassion. Collaboration is key here, and cohabitating in different ways, where you once again create a sense of community, is going to be critical and key for your survival in the future, so that you are interdependent and no longer codependent to your own peril. Believe in yourselves and believe in the journey, because it matters who you choose, actively and consciously choose to become. We welcome any insights from you all on these channelings, how it affects you, how it impacts you, or how it may even change you. Please let us know. We wish to have a more interactive relationship with those who are listening to these messages. Believe in those inner knowings or insights or epiphanies that you, the individual, has as you listen to these, because those are your specific insights that we are here to share with you through these messages for the collective. Importance. Importance is what we shall say. Importance, and so it is. Namaste.